If you've noticed your clothes fitting looser lately, or a parent or loved one over 65 has lost weight without trying, I want you to pay close attention because unexplained weight loss after 65 isn't something to shrug off as just getting older. Maybe it's a mother who used to finish every plate at dinner and now barely touches half of it. Maybe it's a father who's suddenly a size smaller in pants he's worn for a decade. These small, easy to miss details are often the first signals the body sends before a bigger problem shows up. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what causes it, which causes are harmless, which ones need urgent attention, what a doctor will actually look for, and just as importantly, how to bring this up with a loved one without frightening them. Let's start by defining what doctors actually mean by unexplained weight loss. It's considered clinically significant when someone loses about 5% of their body weight within 6 to 12 months without trying, meaning no new diet, no new exercise routine, nothing intentional. For context, that's about 8 to 9 pounds for someone who weighs 170 pounds, or around 6 pounds for someone who weighs 130. Why does this get more serious after 65? Because as we age, some weight loss is expected. Muscle mass naturally declines, appetite can shift, metabolism changes. But unintentional loss beyond the normal range is different. Research has consistently shown that unexplained weight loss in older adults is associated with an underlying medical cause in a large share of cases, sometimes serious, sometimes very treatable, which is exactly why it deserves attention rather than being written off. Before we go further, let's clear up a few common myths, because these misunderstandings are often what delay people from getting checked. Myth 1. Losing weight is always a good thing. Intentional weight loss through diet and exercise can absolutely be healthy, but unintentional loss is a completely different signal, and treating the two the same can mean missing something important. Myth 2. It's just old age catching up. Aging does bring some natural changes in appetite and metabolism, but a genuine drop in body weight isn't something that should be dismissed with that explanation alone. It deserves a real look. Myth 3. If they don't feel sick, it can't be serious. Many of the underlying causes we're about to cover, including some of the more serious ones, don't come with obvious symptoms in their early stages. Weight loss can be the very first sign, appearing well before anything else feels wrong. Doctors generally group the causes of unexplained weight loss into a few major buckets, so let's go through each one in detail. The first bucket is digestive. As we age, the digestive system can become less efficient at breaking down and absorbing nutrients. Conditions like acid reflux, ulcers, celiac disease that goes undiagnosed for decades, or reduced stomach acid production can all mean that even when someone is eating normally, their body isn't absorbing what it needs. Inflammatory bowel conditions and issues with the pancreas can have a similar effect, interfering with how fat and nutrients are processed, even when the appetite itself hasn't changed. Dental issues play a huge role here too. Missing teeth, ill-fitting dentures, or mouth pain can quietly cause someone to eat less without ever saying, "I'm not eating enough." They just start avoiding foods that are hard to chew, gradually shifting towards soft, lower-calorie options like soup or toast, without necessarily connecting that shift to the weight change on the scale. The second bucket, and the one that understandably causes the most worry, is chronic disease. Conditions like heart failure, COPD, kidney disease, and diabetes can all cause weight loss, sometimes because the illness itself increases the body's energy demands, and sometimes because symptoms like breathlessness or fatigue make eating feel like an effort. In heart failure specifically, doctors sometimes see a pattern called cardiac cachexia, where the body's increased workload combined with reduced appetite leads to a slow, steady decline in weight over months. Thyroid problems, specifically an overactive thyroid, are another well-documented cause. It speeds up metabolism, so the body burns through calories faster than a person is taking them in, sometimes accompanied by a faster heartbeat, restlessness, or heat intolerance. And yes, certain cancers, particularly of the digestive tract, pancreas, and lungs, can present with weight loss as one of the earliest signs, sometimes before any other symptom appears. This is precisely why this symptom is one doctors take seriously rather than dismiss, and why early blood work and imaging exist as tools to catch this while it's most treatable. The third bucket is one that's often overlooked: medications. Older adults are frequently on multiple prescriptions at once, and several common ones, including certain diabetes medications, some antidepressants, blood pressure medications, and drugs used for heart conditions, can suppress appetite or affect taste and smell as a side effect. Some medications cause mild nausea that a person may not even connect to the pill they've been taking for months. If weight loss started around the same time as a new prescription or a dosage change, that's an important detail to bring up with a doctor. And it's one of the easiest causes to identify because it simply requires reviewing the timeline together. The fourth bucket is mental and emotional health. Depression is one of the most common and most underdiagnosed causes of weight loss in older adults. It doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like low motivation, skipping meals, or simply losing interest in food altogether. Grief after the loss of a spouse, loneliness, and social isolation can have the same effect, particularly for people who spent decades cooking and eating with a partner and now find themselves preparing meals for one. And in early stage dementia, a person may genuinely forget to eat, forget they've already eaten, or lose the ability to recognize hunger cues the way they used to, sometimes appearing physically fine while quietly undereating for weeks at a time. The last bucket is practical, and it matters more than people think. Difficulty cooking due to mobility issues, arthritis that makes preparing meals painful, trouble getting to a grocery store, living on a fixed income, or simply eating alone every single meal can all reduce how much and how well someone eats. This is one of the more fixable causes, which is exactly why it's worth checking for it directly, rather than assuming something more serious is happening. Sometimes the entire solution is as simple as grocery delivery, a meal sharing arrangement with a neighbor, or a visit from a home health aide a few times a week. So, how do you know when this needs a doctor's visit versus watching for a bit longer? Here are the signals that mean it's time to get it checked, not later, soon. 1. Losing 5% or more of body weight within 6 to 12 months without trying. 2. Weight loss paired with other symptoms: persistent fatigue, changes in bowel habits, difficulty swallowing, or unusual pain, since a combination of symptoms narrows down the possible causes and makes it easier for a doctor to know where to start looking. 3. Noticeable loss of appetite that's lasted more than a couple of weeks, especially if it's a clear change from how that person normally eats. 4. Any weight loss in someone who is also showing signs of confusion or memory changes, since this combination in particular deserves prompt attention. 5. Weight loss that's happening despite normal or even increased eating, which can point toward an absorption or metabolic issue rather than a simple appetite problem. If you notice two or more of these together, that's not a wait and see situation. That's a schedule the appointment this week situation. If you do bring this up with a physician, here's generally what the process looks like, so you know what to expect. It usually starts with a full medication review, basic blood work, checking thyroid function, blood sugar, kidney and liver function, and markers of inflammation, along with a nutritional assessment and sometimes imaging, depending on what the blood work shows. Depending on what those initial results suggest, further testing might include an endoscopy, a chest x-ray, or a referral to a specialist. A good doctor will also ask about mood, appetite, and daily eating patterns, because, as we covered, the cause isn't always physical. This isn't something you need to self-diagnose. The goal of this video is to help you recognize when to ask, not to replace that conversation. Now, if this is a parent or older relative rather than yourself, actually bringing this up can feel surprisingly difficult. A lot of adult children worry about sounding alarmist or worry their parent will get defensive about being checked on. A gentle approach tends to work best. Rather than leading with, "You've lost weight, something's wrong," try leading with observation and curiosity. Something like, "I noticed your clothes seem looser lately. How have you been feeling?" This opens a conversation instead of triggering defensiveness. If they brush it off, it's okay to circle back. Pull back gently rather than pushing hard in the moment. And if you're helping schedule the appointment, offering to go with them, or simply to help write down the timeline of when the changes started, can make the whole process feel more like support and less like an intervention. While a proper diagnosis matters most, there are a few things that genuinely help in the meantime, especially for families supporting an older parent or relative. Smaller, more frequent meals are often easier to manage than three large ones, especially if appetite is the issue. Nutrient-dense foods, things like eggs, nut butters, whole milk, avocado, and smoothies with added protein, pack more calories and nutrition into smaller portions, which matters a great deal when appetite itself is limited. Eating together, even virtually over a video call, measurably improves how much older adults eat, because isolation really does suppress appetite in ways that are easy to underestimate. Keeping favorite, easy-to-chew foods stocked and visible in the kitchen can also help, since decision fatigue around meals is a real and often overlooked barrier. And if dental discomfort is a factor, a dental checkup is often overlooked but can make an enormous difference on its own. None of this replaces medical evaluation, but it's a meaningful place to start while you're getting that appointment scheduled. Unexplained weight loss after 65 is common, but common doesn't mean ignore it. The earlier it's investigated, the more treatable most causes turn out to be. And in a meaningful number of cases, the explanation turns out to be something entirely manageable: a medication side effect, a dental problem, or simply the need for a bit more company at mealtimes. If this video helped, the most useful thing you can do is share it with someone who might need to hear it. A sibling, a caregiver, or a friend checking in on an aging parent.